Hello and welcome to another episode of Finance in Fiction, and today we will dive into the economics behind magic, especially healing magic in Overlord's new world. Now, first and foremost, the new world is by large a medieval society, but thanks to magic advancements, elements of more modern levels of development. For example, the magic equivalent to electric light is present, but even though magic can create those things, enhance equipment, and even heal illnesses and wounds, sickness and death due to injury is an ever-present threat for the vast majority of society, both in the Kingdom of Riestais and the Empire of Baharut. And the reason for this is simple: the price of healing magic is controlled by the temples. And these temples are independent religious organizations and rely on the income of their healers to run their institutions, offer services to worshippers, and train and sustain a force who fights against the undead. So if the temples were undercut and the price of healing magic would be significantly lowered, the temples would be unable to train the same amount of people in healing magic, which would eventually lower the supply and raise the price again. But in the meantime, these temples would suffer financially and perhaps lose the ability to sustain their healers and their very organization. And therefore they will send assassins after you if you offer healing magic for free or below the price the temples decided. Simultaneously, the temples can't just lower the price of their magic without weakening their position compared to the state, that would then be able to enact policies that run contrary to everything the temples and a vast majority of the population believes in. For example, while Emperor Jerkneth and its state-funded magic institutions under Fluda Peridane, a powerful wizard, were able to experiment with undead and see if they could be used to work on the fields, thereby freeing a large labor pool in the primary production sector of the economy to that of an industrializing country. These experiments were highly classified and couldn't be made public, since the temples would do everything in their power to prevent the life-hating undead from being deployed in vast amounts to the countryside. But if the temples would lose their monopoly on healing magic, and thus the vast amount of their income, then the imperial court could just outspend them in terms of propaganda, bribes, and assassins. Furthermore, if the imperial magic academies control the healing magic, then the emperor wields the power of life and death, putting the temples in an even more desperate position. And therefore the temples will do everything in their power to enforce the price control, to the point that even the Adventurer Guild, an anti-monster mercenary organization, is only allowed to use healing magic on their own adventurers, and not on the general populace, unless they can pay. So despite healing magic existing, and despite that its widespread use would prevent a lot of death and suffering, thus expanding the labor pool, due to the vastly lower mortality rate, and the re-enablement of disabled people, due to the temple's monopoly on it, and magic education being quite expensive, magic as such even in very developed countries isn't widespread. And in the kingdom, even the nobility isn't willing or able to afford healing magic for their second and third-born sons. And last but not least, since magic education is, especially in the kingdom, quite expensive, even the freshly trained independent healers are reliant on the high price of healing magic in order to make their money back. And thus, even though they are independent, they also have a vested interest in the temples being able to enforce their prices. So in conclusion, in Overlord's new world, the enormous potential of healing magic is held back by monetary policies. That of course was before the Sorcerer Kingdom of Einsulgaun came to be. And last but not least, there are an awful lot of parallels to our modern society in this. And with that said, thank you very much for watching, have a nice day, over and out.